Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vapratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namo Nityam Bhadrakarye Namo Namaha. Veda Vedanga Vedanta Vidyasvanebhya Eva Cha. Saraswati Mahavage Vidye Kamalalochane Vidyarupe Vichadakshi Vidyam Dehi Namostute. Yadaksharam Padam Brashtam Matrahinam च यत् भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देवी प्रसीद परमेश्वरी. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. ॐ नमो भगवते रमणाय. अन्तुराख्यया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडम्. प्रतिमो ददौ पतनकारणम् परमशाश्वतम् प्रतिनिरोधकम्. ईश्वरार्पितम् नेच्छया कृतम् चित्तशोधकम् मुक्तिसाधकम्. कार्यवाङ्मनः पूजनं जपाश्चिन्तनं प्रमाणम् जगत ईशदीयुक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिदेवपूजनम् उत्तमस्रवादुच्चमन्दतः चित्तजं जपाध्यानमुत्तमम्. आज्यधारया स्मृतसासमम् सरलचिन्तनं विरलतत्परम्. वेदभावना सोगमेत्यसो भावनाविधा. So this book of instructions, that's it's on spiritual path. It's also not only a book of instruction, but telling us exactly what the destination is, to first ascertain the destination along with how to get there. So as we have seen, karma, from karma we went on to cultivate bhakti. loving devotion, reverence for this Ishvara Tattva, the truth. And how do we do it? To align ourselves, body, speech, and mind, dedicating every action of ours onto that. And whatever it is that we face in life, we receive, we take it with an attitude of prasad. This is given to us. Any life situation, we don't know what it is going to be. We have never known. We have only made out something of whatever happened according to our own understanding, knowledge, upbringing, so many factors. But whatever has to come is simply coming its way. We have no control over it. So preparing the mind this way, that come what may. I have no control over that. But what I have control over is my own response, my reaction to that situation, whatever it is that is coming to me. So prasada buddhi, I do not ask why this came to me. Rather, this has come to me now. So what am I going to do with it? And how am I going to act? To the best of my knowledge as a karma yogi, best of my capacity, surrendering on to the highest truth that I know of, dedicating all action to that truth, serving the higher truth, the higher self in me, the nobler, the subtler, serving unto that good, I conduct myself, my thinking, my speech, and my body. So this is becomes worship itself. So if it is at the altar, this is the way I offer myself to the Lord, to my favorite deity in the altar. I do puja, then do the japa. That itself consumes me. My thoughts become ekagrit, single pointed, because he says that's the way it should be. From puja, doing kirtan, bhajan, we go into japa, from loud japa to softer japa to manasik japa. Slowly that which takes us into contemplation on the Lord. And how is the contemplation to be? How is the thought to be? Single pointed, focused, very clear, effortlessly towards the goal. Like that, free. How? Not like it should flow very smoothly like ghee, he says, molten ghee. Towards it. It's not in jerks and spurts. This comes with practice. And how are we to contemplate on that one? He says, the purifying and the better contemplation is on the non-dual self. Non-dual self contemplation better than duality. And we will discuss, we need to understand this. So what is this non-dual self? As the meditator turns his focus inward, since we have heard that God is everywhere and he is the indweller too, we must seek him within us. And initially it might be a little difficult because I, with my limited knowledge, I cannot think of him as being me. So I consider myself part and he is the whole. So this way I begin. But since I know he is very much within me and he is the indweller, I must try to see how we are one. And this was the example we had taken last time of when the wave meditates upon the ocean. If the wave takes the position of the wave and allows the object of meditation, which is the ocean, to remain the ocean, then there is a big gap. Instead, if the wave were to think of its essential nature, the essential nature of the wave is water. And the essential nature of the ocean is also the same water. What is the common? After discarding everything that is different, essential nature is something that cannot change. And that is the Sat principle, existence principle. That I am and that God is. The isness is something that cannot be removed. No doubt, God is almighty, all powerful, all knowing. And I am not like that at all. I know very little and I have very little power. So these are the qualities that we negate. What is this is both are opposites, these are not common. But what whenever I refer to myself, I am. The isness of me cannot be taken away, just as I say God is. So then, when the wave meditates upon the water, it recognizes its oneness with the ocean. So the water is its essential dharma. The wave is a name and form. The ocean is made up of waves. It is the collective waves as the ocean. At the Vyashti level, individual level, it is a wave. All waves put together and more is the ocean. But essentially, ocean is water and the wave is water. So this way, one must come to, and this is supreme devotion also. This is what Bhagavan says in the 9th verse. Bhavashunya sad bhavasustitihi bhavana bhalad bhaktiruttama. This bhavashunya. What is shunya? Shunya is zero or nothing. So he says, devoid of thought modification. There should be no thoughts arising. Satbhava sustitihi. The meditator gains abidance in the existence principle. Satbhava, Sat, Sat, Chit, Ananda. These are the essential qualities. They are not three different qualities. Existence itself is made up of these three simultaneously together. The isness, the consciousness, and the bliss aspect. They are not different from each other. They are all together existing simultaneously. So this Sat principle, when the thought contemplating now on the self, essential nature of myself, no thoughts arise and there is firm abidance. By this, no, this is abhed bhavana bhalat. Bhal you get. When there are no more thoughts. When there are no more thoughts, there is awareness. And if there is a thought arising that, I am awareness, then that is a thought modification. Without that thought arising, only awareness remains. That's why later Bhagavan says, you do not have to attain anything. It is Swayambhu. It is self-illuminating. Awareness is who you are. It has not gone anywhere. But what has happened is there are many thought modifications that have come in the way. And because of that, I am not aware of this awareness. So what happens? I am focusing on the thoughts and I am lost in the thoughts because that has been our training from childhood. We are caught up with the thoughts. The thoughts are led outside through the senses to learn about the world outside, gather information, and I slowly forget who I am. I'm so lost in the I thought. I am so lost in the thoughts, and the thoughts create more and more of this I thought, the ego thought, identifying with things, liking something, disliking something, attachment to something, moving away from something, fearful of something. All of this emotional, intellectual conditionings begin to take firm root. And so the ego is built up here. So this is the habit. Now suddenly in meditation, when all these thought modifications go as they are, in fact, it doesn't go immediately. When one sits in meditation, lesser and lesser thoughts. The idea is not to pay attention to the thoughts, to simply allow it to come and go. Then you are not fueling it, you are not giving it strength. So what happens? These thoughts simply weaken when you are not paying attention to. So you must start paying attention to the gaps in between the thought. And let that thought come and go. Don't engage in it. Don't involve yourself. What happens is there is a great strength that you get of yourself here. And when there is no longer any differential thoughts, any vikalpas coming up, and you are simply resting in that awareness. Bhagavan says that is Uttama Bhakti. Because here you reach your true self. This is the true nature of the meditator. And this devotion, this which is simply resting in the truth. And this is truth. This is Ishvara Tattvam. We should simply remain there. When we go to sleep, in the deep sleep, not before, just before getting into the deep sleep state, you are getting prepared to sleep, isn't it? Then you say, okay, let me switch off all the lights, draw the curtains, have my bed ready with the sheets properly done and my pillow comfortable. And then we lie down. So all of this is preparedness to go to sleep. Then you might even be thinking, why sleep is not coming now, it will come, I'll try this position, that position. And slowly you might be telling, I want to sleep, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to sleep, is not yet going to sleep. Because there is a thought arising and you're aware of that thought. But actually, when sleep comes, what happens? No more thought modifications at all. You do not know. There is no thought. There is no I either waking up. But the difference between this is the state, supreme devotional state, where there is no thought modification. But the difference here is in deep sleep, I'm not aware that I'm sleeping. It's only when I wake up, I say I had very good sleep. But while sleeping, the anandam is there. But I'm not experiencing that anandam. There is nobody to experience that. But in meditation, what happens? There is only awareness and no thought, which means the bliss is experienced here. This is the sense, which is existence principle, consciousness principle, and the bliss. Such an ananda swarupa, you come to this. Now, so this is the state. If this is your natural self, where have we to come from in our speech, in our thinking, in our action? We must be attached to this aspect of ours, and not any thought modification of a personality of whom I think I am. The personality is simply a fact which has grown out of interaction with other people in society in this way. So my ideas, my feelings, the information I have, my ideals, everything I have learned and I have chosen. This is whom I'm going to be, and I'm constantly working on changing and improving my personality and my thinking and my behavior and my conduct because all these can be changed. And if all this can be changed, it's not the truth, it's the not self. Yeah, right. So in interactions, we may require to do all this, but we must recognize deep within that this is not who we are. So where should we come from? And Bhagavan says this, in fact, he summarizes the whole thing and he says in the 10th verse, Ristane manha swastata kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. This manaha, it should be hritstale, in the heart, in the spiritual heart. The abidance of the mind here in the heart where as though the self resides there. Satchit Ananda Swarupa is residing there in the heart of heart that you know who you are. He says, this is the goal of all the paths. That is, whichever path you follow, spiritual path you follow, either it is dhyana, karma marga, bhakti yoga, or jnana marga. Bhagavan here says, this is to be ascertained and this is what is the goal. So whichever path you are following, have you come to rest in your true self? That will be the question. It has been ascertained that the goal of the path of action, karma yoga, devotion, bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga, and of jnana yoga, knowledge, is the abidance of the mind in the heart of its own nature. In the heart, we see what happens is very often we are divided. The mind accepts one thing, but the heart says, no, I am not yet ready, I can't understand. Or the heart says, oh, I would love to be there, and mind says, no, that's not the way to go. But here, it is all in one place. It's in complete sync with your true nature. So here, Bhagavan also says, whatever that has to be done, action through the body, through the speech, through the mind, let it come from this space. The mind, the speech, everything, because all action, speech arise from the mind and the thought. Thought is a subtle form. That form takes a visible manifestation expressed as speech and word and action. Action and speech is nothing but the grosser form of the subtle thought. This thought, he says, should abide in the heart of one's own nature. So there is no division between heart and head there. And every thought, action must arise from there, express from there, not from the ego center. Hristhale mana swastata kriya bhakti yod bod. These, it has been determined. This nishchita mitrutave. This is the goal of all spiritual practices. So don't be worried if somebody is saying, I am in the karma yoga path. Somebody, karma is not for me. I like to sit and do puja. Usually, we are wasting and spending a lot of energy discussing each other's paths, criticizing and judging the other's path. We hear many people say, oh, what are these bhakti people doing? Constantly going to temple, singing some bhajan, shloka, chanting they want to do. They want to dress up the deity, they want to do abhisheka, they want to do alankara for the favorite deity. They spend time on that. They have not bothered to ask who they are. The karma yogi will say so much work he could have done in society using his hands, brains, and heart to serve the society. Because Manav Seva is Madhav Seva also. They are ignoring that. The Jnani will say, why are they wasting time with all this? They must just sit in one corner and inquire, who am I, and go into that knowledge they should seek. Another one will say, that is the Dhyan who wants to sit in meditation all the time. Only in meditation you will get it. Another one will say, Ashtanga Yoga is the one. These people, without doing proper yoga, how will they sit for bhajan and how will they get the mind to concentrate on one without following yoga? And they read and they think Upanishads and this will teach them that. How will they ever get that? And the ones who are studying the Shastras think this is only for intellectuals, only high level people can think. Others can't. That's why they are following the easier path. No, forget all this. This is not important. Whichever it is that I am following, and one may be doing 2 or 3 things at a time. Not necessarily one following only karma yoga, or only bhakti, or only dhyan. They mix because we are made up of so many things: emotions, intellect, no, our own feelings, our own upbringing, our past, everything counts in this. Am I going to the path where my heart and mind, intellect, that is, have become one? They are not divided. And they seek to reside and they are completely dwelling in my true nature? That is the question that can happen in any of the months. So this goal is to be ascertained. Acha, you are following bhakti, very good. I have never done bhakti. But tell me, how far have you reached? Are you able to? Oh yes, sometimes when I'm singing the glories of my Lord, I don't see myself there. I am singing and I don't know who's the singer. Words just pour out and tears are flowing. What bliss. Very good. See, the I thought is gone. All thought modifications have gone. I'm singing and I don't know I'm singing. The doer is not there. Wonderful. Huh? It has worked for that person. Very well. This is the ascertain we have to get ascertain. Somebody while serving the world forgets himself, he forgets his body, he forgets his own suffering. There is such happiness in being able to serve and apply the entire body, mind, organism towards contributing to the world. The satisfaction, the fulfillment one gets, in that fulfillment, I am not there. That bliss that I have seen, and he says, oh, I am not the one who's doing. The doer is something else. All this action is happening by itself. You see? So that is happening to a karma yogi. Same way for a meditator, same way for one who studies the Shastras, is contemplating, reflecting, studying to such an extent that he becomes so single pointed in seeking that. Slowly he arrives at it, and then you don't require these paths anymore. These paths were all used so that we come single pointed this way. You see, this is what Bhagavan is telling us. He said, this is the spiritual goal. Not to determine or encourage or any. Each guru will talk, he will only show his disciples the path he has followed. So this way, Bhagavan also, now he discusses Ashtanga Yoga. Because he talks uh, of even how our pranas are controlled, how the mind is controlled with pranas while you're doing asana, pranayama. All these are purification steps. Just as we serve with our body, mind, and speech, we serve the world as a representative, the world is a representation of Ishvara. We have bhakti, we do puja, japa, dhyana. Then we get into contemplation like that, he says, in the 11th and the 12th verses. Ayurodana manah जालपक्षिवाद्रोदसादनम् चित्तवायवाश्चित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्द्वये शक्तिमूलका. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, he takes us to this technique of restraining the pranas. If you look at Maharshi Patanjali Yoga Sutras, he has propounded the eightfold path of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. And the 8 limbs of this path are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Samadhi is a state of total cessation of all thoughts. This is the culmination of the yoga. Now you see, very commonly practiced is what? Asana and pranayama. And this is what is called yoga today, these days. And, oh, you're going for yoga class. Oh, I'm doing yoga. What yoga? Asana and little bit of pranayama and more of asana. Actually, it should begin from yama and niyama. We must speak and pay attention to that. The 5 aspects of yama, ahimsa, non-injury, non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, brahmacharya, and apagari, non-holding apagari. Graha and niyama is maintaining purity, shaucha, in inner and outer cleanliness, contentment, practicing santosha, tapa, austerity, swadhyaya, study of scriptures, and Ishvara pranidhana, which is surrender to God. These values and disciplines only bring order to life and fine tune our personality. As we practice this, we remember these yama, niyama, we begin with asana and continue with pranayama. Here, Bhagavan Ramana is taking us directly to the fourth, that is pranayama, and talking about the restraint, the role of pranayama in concentration. Vayu rodhana liyate manam. Vayu rodhana, that is by restraint or controlling or holding the prana, the mind, manaha liyate, absorb, is it? And like how he says, jala pakshivat, like a pakshi which has been caught in jala, trapped in a net. So it becomes a means of checking the pranas. The pranayama is this. When you check the pranas, the mind also is absorbed. The thought modifications don't rise. So it is like the bird is like the mind which is ready to fly and flying here and there. Pranayama is like the net which ensnares this bird. So when we sit down for meditation, also not even when we sit down for meditation, if we have to gather our thoughts together also, it takes so much time. No, for us, we have said, saw this before, this contemplation, to be able to think on a particular topic and follow a proper flow, a structure, is so difficult. It requires training. When you ask people anything, they are all over the place. And you wonder what they are talking about. This is what is called branching out. So we must be very focused. There must be clarity in our thinking. So we have to train the mind this way. But if the bird is flying everywhere, I have to sit for meditation. But what happens? The senses are running here and there, not allowing me. In the morning, my eyes have not yet woken up. The nose is taking me to the kitchen, to the smell of tea or coffee. And the mind says, that is a good thing. Because even I am half asleep, how can I meditate? So let me go and have that coffee. The tongue is also asking for it, out of habit. And then you hear the kettle boiling. What has happened to this bird? It has come under the snare of the senses. And now it's not going to sit for meditation. So now you have to look at another way of satisfying it. So you go and say, let me drink that coffee, otherwise I can't meditate. So now you have come out, you have had your coffee, and you say, now let me get set, because now the mind will sit. But in the meantime, the mind knows it's getting its coffee. So let me also travel a little bit more around the place, and has already started while we were busy making that coffee about what is to be done during the day, what all has not yet been done, and it will even take you to remember some things which you would not have remembered. It will call your attention for that. Remember, you have to make that call today, don't forget, and you have to go to the bank. So by the time you are drinking that coffee, the mind has already rushed to the bank and contemplating whether you have time to do all of that today or no. Now the mind is agitated because you are not sure 2 hours later whether you will have time to finish that bank work and then go to your workplace, or what do you do? What kind of shortcut? How conveniently can you finish that work? Do you call somebody to get it done? How are you going to manage? Now this mind has started running here and there. It has put you to make that coffee and drink that coffee. It is not even savoring that coffee. It is not interested in that coffee. It has already begun travel. and you have had that coffee and you are now trying to sit for meditation, the mind has become more agitated, active now, because it is now no longer sleepy. When you thought of meditation, it was very sleepy. And then you say, see, I had coffee and I'm thinking of all these thoughts. And all these thoughts come, yeah, how can I meditate? My mind is agitated. That is how the mind, we are trained to listen to the mind and guide us this way in our waking state constantly. This, therefore, it's very difficult to bring it under control, but only with practice. So for this, what do we do? As soon as the mind says coffee, you have to tell the mind, just sit here. I'm going to do pranayama for 5 minutes and then we shall see. We will have your coffee, don't worry. And you start to breathe in and breathe out. Slowly, the mind is absorbed in this activity. Because now you have put the mind into activity. The mind is not taking you to activity. And there is a big difference. Every time watch yourself in the waking state. Is your mind making you rush with things and act? Or are you using the mind to act? Very important. The more and more you are employing your mind to put into any activity, you are in control. So this way, if you practice pranayama, that will help the temporary flutterings of the mind, and the mind is settled into doing one thing. You have to tell the mind, just watch. The breath has to go from the left nostril. Hold the breath there. Release the breath through the right nostril. Hold the breath there in emptiness. Hold yourself. Again, take that breath. So when you start doing this pranayama, Anulom, Vilom, whatever other practices you know, what happens to the mind? You have engaged it. And now suddenly it's not going here and there. It's not reminding you about anything. It's not talking of coffee. So these, just from its field of activity, it simply comes back. So this breathing technique helps you control your mind. If that is required, employ it. So our incoming and outgoing breath. Also, pranayama helps. Prana is to bring the pranas into control. Prana is not just shwasa going in and coming out, breathing in and breathing out. The moment you begin with this pranayama, you're controlling all the other pranas that help in digestion, assimilation of the blood and circulation of the blood and assimilation of nutrients. Also pranas to evacuate and throw away. So many things, all the energy. And both are related. If you see, prana and mind is related. This is what Bhagavan is telling in the 12th verse. He says the mind, chitta and vayavaha, that is the 5 vayus, vital airs, pranas. They are endowed with chitta kriya yutana, chit kriya yuta. Now, chitta, that is chitta with double ta, is the mind. And when we talk of Sat Chit Anand, that is the nature of the true self, Sat Chit. Chit is consciousness, awareness. Huh? So there is a difference between Chit and Chitta. So the mind and pranas, he says, are endowed with what? The mind knows the pranas are energy force, isn't it? The energy doesn't think. Energy just supplies, it is energy basically. It is the fuel for thoughts. Thoughts can think, but thoughts do not have their own energy. They are dependent on energy for its existence. So Bhagavan here says, both are branches, Shakti Mulaka. They are 2 branches, Shaka Yodvai, Shakti Mulaka, of the basic power of this Ishvara Tattva. This Ishvara Tattva, Satchit Ananda Self, has inherent Shakti in it. That force that it has and the knowing principle it is, mind and pranas are nothing but an offshoot of this only. They are capable of functioning because they are endowed with consciousness. But they express the powers differently. The pranas have the power of activizing or energizing, which is the Kriya Shakti. Because of this energizing and activizing is why circulation of blood, the breath, which is very, very important and vital. Breathing is happening on its own, digestion is happening on its own, blood circulation is happening on its own. And whatever nutrients digested is reaching, oxygen is reaching every cell of the body. When we are asleep, when we are dreaming, when we are waking, we are not even aware that all this is happening, but it is continuously happening. Even in deep sleep state, the pranas are working. That is the energy force. What about the mind? The mind has the capacity of knowing, jnana. The senses perceive the objects, all the senses, eyes, nose, skin. They perceive the objects, the mind recognizes it and understands. Oh, so when this eye sees, the mind is the one reading, that's an apple. The mind says, that's a table, that's a chair. This is a book. So the mind cannot energize itself. The pranas cannot know. So if the mind is not there, eyes are open. The circulation is going on, everything, pranas are also working. But if mind is not observing, mind is not knowing, sometimes we say in class also, I missed, what did she say? When did she say that I missed that? But how come you were also in the class, everybody else in the class? Sometimes one of in a dream state, or sleep state, some sound sleep state. Then only everybody knows, oh, why? Because the sound is there. The snoring is happening. Everyone is trying to concentrate on what is happening in the class, but this mind has decided to just shut, absorb itself. And then this person says, why was everybody laughing? What was the joke? I missed the joke. How come you missed the joke? You were breathing, you were there only, the ears are there, eyes are there, but they couldn't understand anything. Why? Mind was not there. So, this way, Bhagavan says, the root of both of these powers, which is Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, energizing factor and the knowing factor, both of the powers is Maya Shakti. Maya, which is the power of the Lord. That itself is the power of the Lord. It is what Bhagavan calls Prakriti. He says, Prakriti is nothing but myself, my Shakti. With my own Shakti, I do this and everything gets done. Because of my power, it will get done. And I have created all laws of universe. Everything has come from there. Bhagavan himself is a causeless cause. And everything is happening because of the Shakti. The pranas and the mind are like two branches of the same tree, Shakti, Maya Shakti. And this tree is coming from whom? This tree is nothing but rooted in the highest self, Ishvara. Now what has happened? Not knowing this, whatever thought has come, because thoughts will keep coming. Mind is there. It is Maya Shakti. I have selected some thoughts and I keep saying my thought, my thought, my thought, my thought. Because the I thought arises attaching and has learned to attach and identify with every thought. And there are already in this equipment certain inbuilt vasanas, which is a program, like one software program that is already comes with our hardware, no? Since our birth, it has come with us. So what happens as we grow, it finds thoughts that connect, it can connect to. It begins to connect. And the I thought also starts connecting very, very deeply. So I say, I am a sportsman. I like music. I am a dancer. I have natural inclination towards birds and zoology and botany and astronomy and astrology. Why? All this is a program that was already there. Even that is Prakriti only. Maya Shakti only working. But here the I, the ego thought arises, and then in all of that, another world is being created. I create my own world, which is what we call through Maya Shakti, this is happening. In my interaction with others also, who think like this, who are a part of that illusion, each one thinking they have a story to tell, how they were brought up and what all happened to them, and each one of us has a story. What suffering we have been through, what goodness has come our way, what blessing has come our way, why we are interested in something, why we don't want something, and we take sense of doership. But here, Bhagavan is very clearly telling, when I was telling, understand every mind is nothing but flow of thoughts. Pranas are nothing that it is anyway existing. In the universe, you will find pranas. So, digestion in every living being is happening because of prana. Breathing is happening because of this prana, and this is continuously happening in the universe. In and through all beings. Thought forms are also there, collective. We must understand that these are nothing but coming from Ishvara Shakti only. And this actually, in the Vyashti level, individual level, we can clearly see this relation between prana and mind. Prana is subtler than the mind. Grosser than the mind. Mind is subtler than prana. Prana you can feel, the breathing in and breathing out, deep breathe. Sometimes, if you're, see, even your emotions, if you are angry, you breathe one way. If you're fearful, you breathe one way. When you're utterly relaxed, you breathe one way. So the thoughts can change the way you breathe, which means thoughts are subtler. Whatever is subtler only prompts action. So here we can also, through the pranas, because we understand the relationship now, I can say if my mind is agitated, I'm breathing heavily, let me start breathing normally, regularly, rhythmically, and bring my mind under control. That can be also learned and practiced, which then the grosser will start controlling the subtle. Because the mind is not under my control, I can use this practice. Do pranayama, and then the mind is somehow quietened, not agitated, not stressed. Then breathing also becomes normal. Such experiences, clearly shows that both are very related. In our own experience, we know when I'm angry, what happened to my breath. In fact, what happens is at that time when I'm angry, I think I'm angry and I'm not paying attention to the breath or anything. And when I'm fearful, what happens? We do that. We breathe in and we literally stop. We can't breathe. We hold our breath. See? Scared. Fear has taken over. Both are very connected, closely connected. At that very moment, begin to breathe. No? Very deliberately, consciously we begin, then we can control the mind also. Therefore, pranayama can help in controlling the mind, even though here what is important is it is not everlasting, which means I do pranayama, I feel good. Then I have to probably do pranayama again in the evening. Then after I have mastered a little, I have practiced a little, I need to do pranayama every day, at least once. But what happens? Suppose 2 days I do not do pranayama, then I begin to miss this exercise. So it is not lasting. And how long will you go on doing this? Just to control, 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 control. That is not the end. End is somewhere else. Prana Vikshana, we must do observation of the breath. We observe the inflow and outflow of breath without analyzing, interpreting, judging. Then the mind gets preoccupied there, not associated with likes, dislikes, and so it becomes concentrated. This is it. Till here we can bring the mind. And then how do we take it further into absorbing itself in the truth? The restraint of the pranas help a seeker achieve absorption of the mind, but not its annihilation. Huh? And the difference between absorption of mind and its annihilation is described in the 13th verse. I shall just read the verse today and we can take up explanation in the next class. Laya vinashane ubhayarodhane layagatam punar bhavati no mritam. He says the absorption or manolaya happens, but manonasha, it comes back. It doesn't, manonasha doesn't happen here. That how can we get back so that this mind doesn't come back is what we will look at, because Bhagavan speaks of again how from pranayama we take the mind to put it into that self only, thoughts, contemplation of that self so that it doesn't come back again. So the nature of the exalted yogi and the vision of reality also he speaks, slowly guiding us towards jnana yoga, which is his own subject matter. But we will go one thing at a time, realizing that we may be in any of the steps of the ladder, in any of these paths. But we must be able to move forward without any doubt or fear. So we shall see the next verses. We shall conclude today's class here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shanti.